The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy.
You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. Today is April 24th, 2019, episode 136. And this week, living robots and Grandpa in the Garden. My name's Basil.
And this is Gonz. Disappointed that Basil didn't go with my suggestion for the title.
I get to go rogue on the titles.
Which was Living Robots and Garden Graves. But it all makes sense. This is where we talk about other news with Canary Cry Views. Not a lot of politics on this show, but hey, we're going to give you stuff that matters aside from that, that you might not hear about in the mainstream.
Okay.
That's right.
Not a lot of politics in this one, folks.
Yep.
I think everything we report on has a tinge of politics.
Oh, yeah, it does. But we're just trying to, hone in the eye of Sauron on different areas, not precisely the political thing, because there's a lot of people there. A lot of people talking politics. Not a lot of people talking Flippy.
Flippy update.
Do you want fries with that?
The most seamless intro we've ever given, Gonz. Very good. Okay,
Yeah.
Gonz, I want to give you the Flippy update for this week, and this one hits close to the heart. I'm not going to bring news of a disembodied robot arm somewhere out there in the world, taking people's jobs and breaking hearts. This week, I want to report on my own experience. I have brought a robot into my home.
No.
Yeah, and before you get too excited, it is not a Flippy arm.
Okay.
It is
good.
not a disembodied robot arm. That I'm still working on the Kickstarter campaign for. But I got I got a Roomba.
Oh, no.
What's
it doing?
It's actually not a Roomba brand, but if you say Shark Ion, nobody knows what you're talking about. So Roomba's much better branding. I got a little vacuum robot, and I love him very much. He's
Love. It's a strong word to use.
Oh no, I've been conditioned by. Don't you know?
Oh no.
I've been conditioned by our culture to fall in love with these robots.
I'm for the robots.
That's right. And he's just this little dude, this little hockey puck that zooms around my apartment once a day. And I will say this. My floors have never been this clean.
That's how they get you.
I know. I'm in. It's sucking me in. Vacuum. Get it? He's fun. I got a little app. I can control him with my app. I can send him to work whenever I want. And I have him on a schedule. He's got a pretty easy work day. He starts at 12, ends at 1, parks himself, charges himself, and he also, spies on me all the time. Sometimes I'll be reading a book or working on the computer or maybe in the bathroom or something, and out of the corner of my eye I can see him just standing in the hallway, just looking at me.
I'll keep you warm and safe in my people's zoo.
That's what he's thinking.
Yeah, so I'll keep you guys posted on my my not Roomba experiences, and I don't know, maybe as I continue to fall in love with the robots, I'll keep everybody posted on new robots I bring into my home. I will say I overestimated this guy. I thought maybe he would use AI to learn my apartment and be able to move around well in it. And so far he's a real little dummy.
Does he use the actual physical hit sensors to know where it's going?
Yeah, he runs into stuff all the time.
Yeah.
And when I tell him to dock, I press the little dock button. I thought that his little dock would send out a signal that he knows where the dock is at all times, but he literally just wanders around until he gets close to it, and then he knows where it is. But it could take him 25 minutes sometimes. Last night I told him to go dock, and he just bounced around my bathroom for 25 minutes. I finally had to take him out and like aim him at the dock. So he's a lot dumber than I was hoping. But
they're giving you the dumb ones now. They can deploy the dumb ones because
he's lovably dumb. Though I gotta say, I love this little guy.
I just full confession here. We used to own a Roomba as well. We tried one, but our dog hairs killed them.
Oh no, this guy makes a show out of picking up all the cat hair. And I thought the cats would be much more wary of this guy. They don't care about him. They don't care whatsoever.
Yeah,
sometimes they'll get up and go to a new room, but they sense no life within him, so I don't think they're afraid of him.
Interesting.
Yeah.
We have a new, I don't know, what are they called? Stings?
It's called a jingle.
Jingle? Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, here we go.
It's a fun one. We needed one for CRISPR.
Okay. Say crispy.
No.
Ow. There we go. That's for CRISPR, and that actually really happened. We were trying to get your baby to say CRISPR, and she hit you in the head with a harmonica.
Yeah, that's how things go around here.
So we just decided to go with it.
Yep. NewAtlas.com. CRISPR used to build dual-core computers inside human cells.
Yikes.
The CRISPR gene editing system is usually known for helping scientists treat genetic disease, but the technology has a whole range of possible uses in synthetic biology too. Now researchers at ETH Zurich have used CRISPR to build functional biocomputers inside human cells. As powerful as modern computers are, nature bested us long ago. Living organisms could be thought of as computers already. Their cells act like logic gates, taking input from the outside world, processing it, and responding with certain metabolic processes. Quote, the human body itself is a large computer, says Martin Fussenegger, lead researcher of the study. Quote, its metabolism has drawn on the computing power of trillions of cells since time immemorial, and in contrast to a technical supercomputer, this large computer needs just a slice of bread for energy. Tapping into these natural processes to build logic circuits is a key goal of synthetic biology. In this case, the ETH Zurich team found a way to slot dual-core processors into human cells by first modifying the CRISPR gene editing tool. Normally, the system uses guide RNA sequence to target specific DNA segments in the genome, then make precise edits. For this project, though, the team created a special version of the Cas9 enzyme that can act as a processor. This special Cas9 instead reads guide RNA as inputs and in response expresses particular genes. That in turn creates certain proteins as the output. These processors act like digital half-adders. Essentially, they can compare two inputs or add two binary numbers and deliver two outputs. To boost the computing power, the researchers managed to squeeze two processor cores into one cell. And so there's one more quote here. Imagine a microtissue with billions of cells, each equipped with its own dual-core processor, says Fussenegger. Quote, such computational organs, that's something we might start hearing, could theoretically attain computer power that far outstrips that of a digital supercomputer, and using just a fraction of the energy. Oh, Basil, we got dual-core computer chips inside human cells now.
Yeah, it's so funny because, and I have a couple points I want to hit here. Number one, they're like, the human body is like a computer. It takes in inputs and changes. So what we did is we took human cells and made them into a computer. It's like, it already was that. What are you talking about?
It's a downgrade if you think about it.
Right. I mean, I guess they're trying to do it in a way that they can actually interact with. But yeah, I mean, in a way, cells and the collection of cells that makes up our body is a computer. And that brings me to this area which I've recently been looking into as far as computation goes. There's two types of computers. There's analog computers and there's digital computers. Mm-hmm. The first computers, which had like vacuum tubes and things like that, those were analog computers. Now we've moved into digital computers. Mm-hmm. The thing is, analog computers are much more reliable and in certain, let's just stick with reliable. There's some other benefits too, but the reliability of analog computers it hasn't been matched yet by digital computers. Now digital is faster and
right,
and you can do a lot more with it.
It's a lot more loose though with the information. Yeah.
But human beings, I mean, really are an analog computer, and to compare this with technology that a lot of people interact with, things like Apple Maps and Google Maps and Waze and things like that, you know how they have the traffic warnings and, you know, you can see the traffic.
Yeah.
That's actually an example of a modern analog computer, because they get those readings from people who have their smartphones stuck in traffic, and it tracks the movement of people's smartphones as they are in traffic, and that reports back with the outcome, which you can look up on your map, and it shows the traffic. The traffic that you are looking at on your app is a result of individual, analog in the real world signals of actual people in traffic. So that's an example of analog computing, and so that's why you can get accurate traffic information versus some sort of I don't even know.
Simulation.
Yeah, right. So that's not a simulation. It's actual information, which is interesting because you compare that to things like climate change models. A lot of the predictions for climate change are there's computer simulations. When they say scientists say we have 12 years or else the apocalypse is going to start, that's because they actually ran a digital computer simulation
based on limited input data from the past. There's no way to contain all of the analog, even if we call it analog data.
Yeah, I don't want to go too far into it because that gets way too complicated. Even the scientists themselves, who actually do these simulations, say, well, I mean, clouds are incredibly hard to predict and simulate. So, we can't necessarily have a picture-perfect digital
representation of reality. It's always going to be a little
future
skewed.
weather, right? Yeah. So when you get into climate change models, those are not based on analog computing. That's all digital computing, and so there's a lot of flaws in it.
Right.
So I don't know. There's a little lesson in analog and digital computing, and the human body is an analog computer, and it seems like they're I don't get it. They're just trying to redo it. Just tampering.
It's tampering. It really is a downgrade if you think about it. Given their own premise, it's a crazy supercomputer that is a lot. The thing that they're amazed about, and this is true with the human brain as well, is the amount of energy or lack of energy that is required for the level of computation that occurs in, like, what was the word they used? I think I highlighted it here.
I didn't read it.
Anyway, computational organs. There you go. Computational organs. Like the whole thing is, the human body and biological systems require much less energy for the processing, or much higher processing to occur. And that's what kind of confuses them. And then they're putting in they're adding little digital half adders into the cells to create, their own version of something. But it's really, it's
what they're accomplishing.
Yeah.
What they're accomplishing really is a biological analog computer that they can interact with and they can input their own calculations into, which, you extend that out and perhaps, you start installing these cells or the system into human beings. Then you actually have a system. Say you have what did they call it? Computational organ.
Yeah.
In your body. Say you need a heart transplant, and then you put in a heart that is equipped with these analog computers that doctors are able to interact with. Then, if your heart stops doing what it's supposed to, or goes out of whack, then a doctor can come in, put in the correct inputs, and basically program your heart.
Yeah.
So I'm extrapolating quite a bit there, but if for those who envision the future of this technology, that's certainly a possibility.
Yeah, I think have you been watching TED Talks or something? I remember a TED Talk on the digital versus analog a few months ago.
No, I was looking at some other stuff, but I bet there is one on TED. But then you extend that to the brain, if you have a computational analog computer brain that you're given or somehow infected with, then there you go, real mind control.
Yep.
'Cause I'm DNA.
Sorry, I cut you off there.
That's okay. Firstpost.com Tech 2. Scientists at Cornell University have managed a massive leap towards building lifelike robots by building an organic machine that moves and eats on its own. It also eventually dies and decays like people do, a first in the world of robotics. Using a technology known as DNA-based assembly and synthesis of hierarchical materials, or DASH, engineers have created a DNA-based living system with some key traits of life. The robot is metabolic, can convert food into energy, has organization and levels of hierarchy of organic matter, and can self-assemble, which means it can live, grow, and die as living cells do. For living organisms to maintain themselves, they need to manage change by design. New cells must be generated. Old cells and waste must be swept away. Biosynthesis and biodegradation are key elements of self-sustainability and require metabolism to gain its form and function. Through this system, DNA molecules are synthesized and assembled into patterns in a hierarchical way, resulting in something that can perpetuate a dynamic, autonomous process of growth and decay. The brand new lifelike material has its own state-of-the-art artificial metabolism that isn't technically alive, just further along than any other, quote, living robots in existence, according to a report in the Cornell Chronicle. Quote, the designs are still primitive, but they show a new route to create a dynamic machines from biomolecules. We are at a first step of building lifelike robots by artificial metabolism. Shogo Hamada, an associate in the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences at Cornell University, said in a statement. Artificial metabolism could open up new frontier in robotics. Even from a simple design, we are able to create sophisticated behaviors like racing, Hamada added. All of the robot's abilities, from movement to chewing to competing, are all inbuilt and self-sustained. More excitingly, the use of DNA gives the whole system a self-evolutionary possibility. That is huge, Luo said in a statement. Now that the artificial metabolism is a reality, the researchers are looking at the possibility of artificial reproduction, too. It could be designed to produce an offspring in seconds, potentially. Reproducing at such a fast pace can take advantage of the natural property of DNA to mutate and speed up the process of evolution considerably, according to Luo. The more evolutionary changes that take place between generations, the more adaptable a species becomes, and better its chances at survival. That is not a good thing to put in robots. Cornell's concept could allow more dynamic templates for life, proteins, without the need for living cells at all, which is another exciting possibility for the future of bio-inspired robots, according to the researchers. So this is interesting. This kind of takes another look, another viewpoint at what we were just talking about, where, the story you brought put computing into already biological cells,
right?
And this uses biological cells to build
a two-way street.
A robot. Yeah, so it's kind of goes back and forth. And I find this article interesting. Let me see if I can find it.
It's the opening of the portal. This is like the nitty-gritty of how it's happening.
Yeah, this is the interesting part. So they talk a lot about evolution at the end there. Mm-hmm. But right in the middle, it says, for living organisms to maintain themselves, they need to manage change by design. Mm-hmm. So they kind of have this battle, at least a philosophical or a rhetorical battle between design and evolution here, which I find very interesting. They're like, yes, it evolves, but because we designed it to evolve. And there's quite the heavy-handed insinuation that, if we can make our robots evolve, then they're like us. But, I mean, even putting aside all the problems with robots evolving being like, I don't know, maybe the number one thing that would give them the edge over the humans in the final battle, if they could just reproduce and evolve and mutate in seconds. That might be an issue for us humans who are just gonna still be humans.
It's really fascinating that they look between generations, and the one thing that's really weird and strange about computing is you can control every aspect, right? You can sort of program parameters. So I'm curious as to how these, the evolution of it. Is it just like an open space where these AI things are battling each other, or are there other environmental conditions that can play into the evolution?
Yeah, are you talking about AI? This is actual hardware.
Oh, you're talking. I thought it was just like a digital.
No, this is hardware that they've created or are creating. Yeah, no, this is not AI. AI competing. I mean, that's not new. These were actually robots, meaning they were constructed by human beings, but they were constructed with biological materials like DNA and proteins.
Oh.
Yeah. So these are robots in that they're not...
They're biological robots.
Alive like humans are, but these are biological robots. So they're not... No metal, no rubber, no well, there's probably electricity. But no, this was using DNA and different proteins.
Yeah, because I found it curious that they would say, and there's a line here, the brand new lifelike material has its own state-of-the-art artificial metabolism, but isn't technically quote-unquote alive, just further along than any other quote-unquote living robots. So it's it's like they're both in quotes.
Robot.
Yeah. So
well, there's a lot of work being done in the living robot industry there. But yeah, it's interesting. I find it so interesting because even in just the evolution conversation, they designed evolution into this being, which there surely are theological ideas out there that if evolution is a thing, maybe God designed it. That's kind of the
deist view and stuff.
Yeah, what is the word I'm trying to think of? It's very strange. I can't think of this word.
Directed evolution?
No,
or is it like the religious version of it?
No. It's when two people are having an argument, but they come to an agreement. Oh no, that is so sad that I can't think of this word.
Yeah, I've been having issues with remembering words and phrases recently too.
Getting old, man.
I wonder. Yeah, it's either getting old or it's they're really starting to pump out the mind control devices, and it's starting to affect even the
compromise. That's the word.
Compromise.
It's like a compromise.
I was thinking like a large, big theological word that you were going to use or something.
No, a simple word that it's no compromise, bro. I don't even know the word. That's kind of the theological compromise that, if evolution is a thing, God designed it that way. But that's what we have here. Scientists designing evolution into these biological robots, which is disturbing. So there you go. I mean, now we just got to figure out what's going to happen. Are we going to, well, probably both. We're going to have biological robots that we won't be able to differentiate from actual alive beings. And we're going to have alive beings that have their computational organs inserted. Everything will become one, Gons.
That totally makes sense.
Iron mixing with clay.
It totally makes sense. You have the two sides of the product there. You got the human being,
becoming robot, and you have robot becoming human being.
Exactly.
Yeah. So burning the candle at both ends.
Speaking of the beast system, beast system,
which makes us just fodder, Basil. We're just molecules in motion.
Okay.
The SeattleTimes.com, Washington may become first state to legalize human composting.
Whee!
Yeah. Washington is just a governor's signature away from becoming the first state in the U.S. to legalize the, quote, natural organic reduction of human remains colloquially known as composting. On Friday, the state Senate and House representatives finalized their approval of Bill 5001 titled Concerning Human Remains, which enshrines, quote, organic reduction and alkaline hydrolysis, a dissolving process sometimes called liquid cremation, as acceptable alternatives to traditional burial and cremation. Government Jay Inslee's office said the governor hasn't had a chance to review the legal or final legislation. Once it crosses his desk, he will have 5 days to act. If Inslee signs the bill, the law would take effect May 1st, 2020. I'm very much in favor of the composting of human bodies, said Wes McMahon, a retired cardiovascular intensive care nurse who lived in Randall Lewis County and testified in support of the bill this week. Quote, I'm done with this body that served me very well for the past 64 years. Do I want to poison it with formaldehyde and other embalming chemicals? No, McMahon said. Burned? Not my first choice. But what about all the bacteria I've worked with so long in this body? Do I want to give them a chance to do what they naturally do? I believe in doing things as naturally as possible, end quote. Passage of the bill fulfills a long-time hope for Seattle-based Katrina Spade and is another step in a years-long effort to realize her vision for an urban, soil-based, ecologically friendly death care option. Whee! She is the founder and CEO of Recompose, which aspires to be the first natural organic reduction funeral home in the U.S.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think?
What do I think?
Yeah, you a fan? Roomba started.
Uh-oh.
He's on the move.
He's gonna vacuum up all the dust.
Yeah.
The dirt.
All the cat hair. Okay, thank you, robot, for your service. Yeah, and you'll notice I refer to my Roomba as a he. I know in the past I've stated that all robots should be she's. You know, it doesn't talk to me, so I'm fine with it being a he. It just naturally feels like a he.
Interesting.
And I recognized my own sexism I had in, claiming all robots should just do my housework and then claiming they should all be female. That's a problem. Mm-hmm. Oh, there he is. Bye. He just walked by. Rolled by. Okay, so the composting of human bodies. I don't really off the top of my head have a problem with this. I mean, that's what our bodies were supposed to do.
Yeah, the only thing that's interesting about this is that it really goes against some of the more ritualistic things that we have done with the bodies after death.
Yeah.
And it does, it makes you question like, okay, what is the most natural thing or the best thing for the environment, so to speak, without having, the actual thing, not having any political motivation behind those, the seeking of those things. But it says here that if the bill becomes law, Spade hopes to have the first Recompose facility open and running by late 2020, early 2021. And it says that he's devoting some of his retirement time to growing a food forest on his property in Randall. So, quote, my grandchildren gosh, I'm totally screwing up this quote. My grandchildren will know where food comes from.
Well, there you go. Now, Gons, since we're a little bit short on time, I say we continue this conversation in the extended report.
Oh, no, we didn't get to the Nephilim update.
No, I'm saying I'm going to shoot. Let's do the Nephilim update. Okay. But let's finish this story over in the extended report. You can find that over at patreon.com/CCNT. We're going to be finishing up this conversation about the decomposition of human bodies as well as some other stuff. But first, Gons, give me that Nephilim update.
Nephilim update. Nephilim update. Nephilim update.
So, do you know Tomb Raider, the franchise?
Oh, yeah.
Did you know that there are actually Nephilim in Tomb Raider, especially back in the game Angel of Darkness, which I didn't really know about, 2003.
There's only two things I know about Tomb Raider, and neither of them are Nephilim. Yeah, and it happens to be AOD, Angel of Darkness, before Age of Deceit. So, yeah, maybe I'm trying to like reclaim that. But anyway, so there's 3 Nephilim who are still alive in that world. One is called the Sleeper,
and is in the hands of the Cabal, who experimented on it. Interesting.
Ooh.
And then there's also Joachim Carroll, who revealed himself to be a Nephilim. And Joachim's interesting because he's oversees the Cabal's investment and recruitment while protecting their interests worldwide. And he's a shapeshifter. He can levitate. And it turns out that Carroll was actually manipulating one of the alchemists in the show in order to resurrect his species.
Sounds fun.
A Nephilim
Sounds fun.
resurrecting the species in the show Tomb Raider. Who knew?
There you go. Yeah, who knew Tomb Raider was a documentary?
Yeah.
Okay, well, there you go, folks. Thanks for listening to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Hey, if you got people out there in your life who are not listening, you need to grab them by the nose and shake it.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
It's gotta be biblical.
That's right. Get them on board. Tell them what they're missing over here at Canary Cry News Talk. And remember that we record another episode every single week that you can get our extended reports at patreon.com/ccnt. We are entirely listener supported, which means we do not sell your attention for our own personal gain, much to our detriment. But if you want some of our fun bonus stuff, you can head over to patreon.com/ccnt and you'll be supporting your favorite news show. News. Well, there you go. Make sure to do that and make sure to tune in next time to Canary Cry News Talk. But until then, think outside the cage.
That was nice.